There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonko table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonko table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, folks, welcome to the latest and the greatest from the Yonko table. That is the voice of Grandmaster Hoop coming from the, where are we coming from? We are coming from
across.
We're coming from across the Spider-Verse because we're here to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's right, folks. It is the hit sequel to Sony Animation's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, featuring the theatrical debut of Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man. And this sequel is the follow-up. It has been 5 years since the original film. The original film, some have deemed the best Spider-Man film of all time.
Because it is.
Some even have it as their number one or at least top 5 superhero films of all time. The sequel has dropped. We watched it today. Quick hot take. This is now the best Spider-Man film of all time, Across the Spider-Verse.
It can't be a hot take if it's the truth.
Sure. And arguably, it's up there with greatest superhero films of all time. With me, as always, is fellow Yonko, Dr. Jace Attorney. Dr. Jace Attorney, do you agree with the sentiments that I have laid out on the table so far?
I'm not Dr. Jace Attorney. I'm Miguel O'Hara.
Okay. Miguel
You must be in canon. What are you doing?
Do you agree?
God. Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I agree. This is going into this movie, I had very high expectations. Justly so, because I loved what Into the Spider-Verse did for the Spider-Man character and just for the medium of animation in general. I feel like we say it all the time, both in the Discord and in our chat. So be sure to check that out at the Yonko table. But we say it all the time. Into the Spider-Verse kicked off this new wave of animation renaissance where we're seeing these animation studios, whether it's Pixar, DreamWorks, whatever, they're taking risks. They're trying to see, well, we've been limiting ourselves to some capacity. Look at what Into the Spider-Verse did. It had no limits. It broke the canon for animation. And every film was always trying to be, or at least for the most part, trying to somehow see what did Into the Spider-Verse do and how can we surpass it. I will say the movie that got the closest, and we've gushed about it before, but Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, that film obviously heavily inspired by Into the Spider-Verse. But now going into Across the Spider-Verse, I'm like, listen, I know I'm going to like the movie. I know I'm going to like it. But it's not going to be better than the first one. It can't be. The first one was so perfect. And here we are with another masterpiece. Call it bias. I don't care. I think objectively, it's the best one. It was so good. It was so good. But we'll deep dive the nitty gritty. We'll talk about what worked. There were some things maybe that didn't work here and there, but yeah, no, I'm here for it. Across the Spider-Verse, just a part 1 to a finale that I thought that we didn't need, but apparently we do, and I'm all for it. So yeah, I'm here.
All webs are in. Well, listen, we are spinning an intricate web design here. We are not alone in spinning this web. Let's see what supernovas are joining the fray today from across the universe. All right. Okay. I don't even know how to really go about this. Well, Dr. Rika, I'm gonna let you go right now. Dr. Rika, the groundwork has been set. Are you here to up? Are you gonna dig up what we said and throw it away? Or are you planting a nice seed with the sod work we have planted about across the Spider-Verse? Is your beautiful flower gonna grow throughout this pod, or are you ready to throw this plot of land into the trash? Where are you?
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Yeah.
How would you guys respond if I didn't like it?
Oh,
There's no way.
Get
There's no
out!
way. There's no way. There's no way. I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it.
I was just curious. No, I loved it. I loved it.
oh, thank God.
I think it's so funny that the three of us did The Little Mermaid last Thursday.
Oh my God.
And we're all like, just like, okay, cool. And now I imagine we're going to spend the next however long just gushing about this movie. No, I absolutely enjoyed that. What a thrill to start my weekend because I'm off tomorrow. Like, what a treat.
Yeah.
You know, Guillermo del Toro has been on Twitter for like multiple days hyping up this movie.
He has, yes. He has been doing that.
Telling people, you know, animation. I don't know what he's been saying, but basically
Animation is cinema is what he's been
great,
saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he is right. Okay, listen to multiple time Oscar winner. Go see this movie immediately.
Yeah.
McDonald's sponsor us.
McDonald's, the friendly sponsor of the Yonko table. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We're loving it. Just like this movie.
Correct.
There's a lot to love. Yeah. Animation is cinema. I don't think I've had a feeling coming out of a movie like this since man, I really don't know. Because
for me, like I really loved Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but yeah, no, I haven't had one like this either. The first Into the Spider-Verse, maybe I walked out of there like this, but not on this level either, right? Are you on the same playing field?
It's a for me it is a level of, you know, when I go watch I feel like an all-inclusive film. An all-inclusive film gives me drama, gives me character development, it gives me great story, and then gives me action too. I think an all-around good film can hit multiple genres and really thrive. And I haven't gotten a film that executes it to a T, I think, since maybe Everything Everywhere All at Once. And, you know, funny enough, that's a multiverse film, and this is also a multiverse film. And just walking across the Spider-Verse, I just feel it has met that level of me just having an elated experience. Like I felt, I don't want to call it outer body experience, but there were points in that movie where I literally was like leaning out of my seat, and I don't do that often, but
Were you sweating?
I was sweating. I was sweating a lot in that movie. I mean, I wore a hoodie. I had to wear this hoodie. I had to. But like, it was so engaging. There were so many things to engage with in this movie. And I think when a movie can do that, like, that's next level A. But B, the visuals of this movie, animation is truly cinema. There is no other. What they do in this movie with animation is
the
godly.
Bar's been raised. The bar again.
I cannot believe they did this
twice. It's one thing to do it one time. They did it the first time with Into the Spider-Verse.
They surpassed themselves.
Somehow they surpassed themselves. And you know what? To be honest, I didn't even need them to really surpass themselves. They could have done the same thing with like they did in the first movie. I would have been okay with that. I'm there for a fun ride. They went above and beyond. Singular characters had their own animation quirk. Spider-Punk, voiced by his name,
Daniel Kaluuya.
His animation alone took 2 to 3 years
I
to
believe
put
it.
together. That is insane. That's insane.
I believe it. I believe it.
You know, it reminds me of, and this is not, I'm not saying this to like compare the two movies, they're doing completely different things. But our conversation last week was centered around like what you can do in animation and what you can't do in live action.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this really showcases just like, it felt like the writers, the creators, the animators, the artists, whatever, you know, whomever was a part of the film just got together and said, what can we do? And how can we do it? And fully realized that. Like it didn't feel like there was like a no to any possibility.
Do it.
Because, like you said, there was like the animation we saw from the first film, and then newer versions of what that could look like, some like sprinkling of, and I imagine we'll get to some like different cameos and ways in which they worked with like Legos, etc., where you got to just see a ton of creativity. And that is not possible in the same way with live action films. And it's not to say that, you know, we not comparing the mediums, but wanting to offer more respect for what animation can do. And I think that's what's so exciting is it really, I remember like showing the first film to my dad, who was the person who got me into like watching comic book movies anyway, because he read them growing up. And he was like, this is a comic book come to life. Like, and not facetiously, like when you watch a live action comic book film and say, oh, okay, yeah, they followed the plot. Like, genuinely, this is a comic book in motion that I'm watching. It's like the pages come to life, and that's what it's like, and then more. And so it's truly incredible, and such a, it's just really, really fun to watch. Like, I love movies and I watch a ton every single year, and I'm always like, I feel very warm whenever like a few movies each year just give me exactly what I'm looking for. So
yeah, this movie gave and didn't give. And like you said, we live in this point in cinema where, you know, we are getting a lot of these live action remakes, and they're gonna keep coming. How to Train Your Dragon is coming next, as far as that's other studios now dipping into this territory. And it's just like, yeah, the animation is almost limitless. It's almost limitless.
It's only limited by your imagination.
Right. And just
as cliche as that sounds.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's like, this movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, takes that and breaks whatever limitless limit there was to that idea. And it's just such a visual spectacle that I don't think a live action could ever capture. You know, we got Tom Holland films still coming as Spider-Man. They're currently on hold. 4. Currently on hold due to the writer's strike, but it's like, I don't think, you know, visually and aesthetically it could ever reach kind of this. Like, those movies got to sell with story, you know. But you know, they probably did get everybody who's a part of this film in one room, and everybody's on par. They're at sync. They're in sync. They are so in sync. The animators, the voice cast, incredible. I think everybody did a good job with the voice cast. And then the directors too. They brought on some big dogs. I gotta mention them real quick. Joaquin Dos Santos, you know him? Let me help you.
Help me.
Justice League Unlimited. He did like that whole Justice League Unlimited.
The whole run of Justice League Unlimited?
Unlimited, yes. Not the
Unlimited, yeah, not the original Justice League.
Correct. Incredible. Legend of Korra.
Ooh, directing?
He's directed plenty of episodes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Legend of Korra. Yep.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you've seen Voltron. That's on Netflix.
Oh yeah, the Studio Mir Voltron.
Yes, the Studio Mir Voltron. Yes.
Wow. So Joaquin Dos Santos, he's had his feet into all that stuff.
So, yes, you bring him on, and he's an animation directing god. And there's three directors here. Kemp Powers. He's been in the game. He's now making more headlines because of the projects he's involved in. One Night in Miami, wrote that film. That was the one featuring Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, and Jim Brown, all in a hotel room. Regina King's directorial debut. He wrote that. He wrote that. He also was brought on by Pete Docter and Pixar to do Soul. You know?
Okay.
So he co-directs Soul with Pete Docter and also writes it. And then he's brought on here. And, you know, he's more or less here to give kind of what I would say maybe is kind of the voice of color, you know, the Black experience. He brings a lot of, I think, Black experience to this film. And and there's layers to this film. There's a lot of layers we can get at. That's why I think he's brought on. And then they got this other guy, Justin K. Thompson. He's been around Sony, worked with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So, you know, he's here. Not as big as the other two, but, you know, he's in-house. I
mean, Cloudy has the whole, like, you know, bounciness, the
Sure.
fluidity with its own animation. So all of them are powerhouses in their
Right.
own right.
Right.
You have them all under one roof directing this.
Right. And you know what's crazy? 3 directors. I don't know. You think maybe they get lost in the sauce.
Usually they do.
Or maybe like ideas don't gel.
Right.
This whole movie gelled.
Too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes.
This was enough amount of cooks. You got a
Right.
sous chef, head chef, and appetizers.
Sure.
Or meat
Pastries?
You got the pastry
Pastries.
chef.
No. Dessert?
Yeah. And all right, enough of the chef metaphor. They were cooking. They cooked.
Hold up. Let them cook.
Let them cook. Let them cook. And they cooked. And all right, let's talk about a little bit about this movie. This is the follow-up. It's Miles.
It's not Miles, actually.
Well, it's Miles' story, but
okay.
it's such a shared story. I don't want to go like plot for plot, but like, can we just talk about Miles real quick? I don't know. Or can we open with Miles? It's Miles' movie, right?
We can, I guess. Damn.
I mean, it's not like just his movie, but it's like we have this film because of the creation of Miles Morales.
Right.
Where are we looking? 2013 Miles Morales debuts? If not sooner.
Let's see. 2011. No.
2011.
First
Okay.
appearance. Ultimate Fallout #4. Miles
Right.
Morales. Following
Brian
the death
Michael
of
Bendis.
Peter Parker.
Following the death of Peter Parker. Would y'all say Miles Morales, a Black Puerto Rican Spider-Man, was he welcome? Was he welcomed by open arms?
You know, I don't know what the discourse was at the time. I feel like most of us probably didn't. I mean, I could be wrong, but at least I did not. I don't know what the discourse was around Miles Morales becoming Spider-Man back in the early 2010s. I imagine, as with, if we see any patterns with other characters in fiction, usually when it's traditionally a white character and whether it's a person of color or any other character that's not white dons the mantle, you have people in the comments saying like, not my Spider-Man. So I would imagine there was probably some backlash when this originally came out, but I feel like Miles came into his own so quickly that, and obviously, you know, social media was not like really as prominent as it is today, to where he was able to fit into a mold where he's like, I'm my own character. I am a Black Puerto Rican Spider-Man, or I am Spider-Man, period. And he kind of just grew into his own. Maybe it was the time he came out in and all this time that he's had to grow into the role. But I would think he did initially get backlash, as with any character in fiction that unfortunately that we have to deal with whenever something like this happens. When people just freak out because they're like, no, he has to be Peter Parker. He has to be canon. He has to be canon. Oh my God. This
you see where,
movie
you see where I'm going now. You see?
Yes, I see where you, and
I
love
set
it.
Up. Good.
I love
Good.
it.
You're picking it up. You're picking it up. Good. Oh, you got it. You got it.
You gotta break canon.
That's it. See, I'm so glad you picked it up. Dr. Rico, were you picking up what was being put down just now?
Well, now that you put it down, I can pick it up.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was
cool.
not. But I think it's a nice segue to a film plot point.
Right. Miles Morales, he's Spider-Man in his universe.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be, in the other film, he met all the other spider people that he met, wants more out of life, wants to go meet them, spend time with them. He's alone. He's sheltered. He doesn't know why. He's on his own. In a world of spider people, he is alone. That's where we are. He finally gets that opportunity. Finally gets it. I'm trying to be like a little less spoilerish and more just kind of in depth for our listeners.
Yeah, it's fine.
To give them this experience. He gets the opportunity due to new villain the Spot, who's also a classic Spider-Man villain, played by Jason Schwartzman. If you know Jason Schwartzman.
Humor me, who is he?
He's a big Wes Anderson dude. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom. He will be featured. I think he's the lead star of Asteroid City, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Is he?
Oh, he was in the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay, he's in it. Okay. Yeah, he's a big Wes Anderson actor. Scott Pilgrim. Did I mention Scott Pilgrim?
No. He's in Klaus.
He is in Klaus. He's Jesper.
Jesper. Wow.
Yes. Another great piece of animation right there. So he gets the opportunity to go visit other dimensions and meet other spider people. And he is presented with this idea that he shouldn't exist. He is an anomaly.
The original.
He is the original anomaly. And he should not exist because it broke canon. And for those who don't know what canon is just what? The idea that there's a set way a story is told.
Yeah.
And any kind of deviation is considered breaking canon. For example, if Snow White had 6 dwarves instead of 7, that breaks canon. Snow White has to have 7 dwarves.
For those who are maybe on the internet too much, it's usually like canon divergence is like how it's tended to be tagged. So like on artwork or fan fiction, etc.
Right.
So anything that breaks canon is canon divergence.
Very.
So this idea of canon, Miles breaks it. He was never supposed to be Spider-Man. And that theme runs throughout the movie, specifically in the second and third act, for sure. For me, when I put that together, did you put it together? Yes,
or did I put the idea?
No, you did not put the idea. No. When
I remember leaning over to you. I'm like, do you know what this is really saying?
No.
And you're like, what? I don't see it. Stop
that. Stop that. I had it. Miles Morales just wasn't in our reality. Peter Parker is always and should be Spider-Man. Nobody else. Uncle Ben dies. That is the rhetoric. Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, that is the rhetoric. And then in 2011, this character of Miles Morales comes along and breaks canon. He is the new Spider-Man. It is a black boy, a black teen is Spider-Man. And everybody loses their minds.
You could have a T-Rex Spider-Man and a cat Spider-Man. But the second he's black, everyone loses their minds.
And you know, to us, it's not a big deal, but this is a discourse, as you said, that is a thing. And I feel this movie took that discourse and that idea, and they crafted such an incredible story around the idea of Miles should not have been here, and that he shouldn't have to prove his worth and why he's here, but he does in their eyes, you know. And for me, when I realized this movie was a meta movie, that's when it became next level. It became next level
because there's substance. There's substance. Like, you know, we've been here gushing for the most part about like the animation and how great, you know, the film looks and how it exceeded our expectations with, you know, how, for lack of better words, how pretty it was. But this film has substance. It has strong substance. And for a film to be able to like have that meta message while also still telling a story of its own, because there is like an actual story reason as to, you know, the whole thing about Miles never supposed to be Spider-Man. You know, the spider that was sent to his universe, it was not supposed to bite him. It wasn't supposed to bite him. It was supposed to bite someone else in a different universe. But you know, you have characters, specifically one character who's just so angry in this film.
You can say it's Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, played by your boy Oscar Isaac. Goodness, what a
get that bounce on me, ente. My God, he's so angry.
What is he? He's him and Pedro Pascal are daddies, right?
Oh,
right.
Really? Oh, wow.
Pedro Pascal is King Daddy.
College, that he's a daddy. Have you seen that meme where it's like Walter White in the car and it's Pedro Pascal saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm the internet daddy. I agree. I like being everyone's daddy." And it's Walter White saying, "No, Pedro, no, that's not what daddy means. That's not what."
You're not even there on Breaking Bad, so you should.
It doesn't matter. It's funny. Meme. It's funny.
But yes, Oscar Isaac kills it as Miguel O'Hara. Super scary. Yeah, he's super angry.
Oh, that is. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
What? Yes, that's Oscar Isaac.
I didn't know.
What? Why would I bring him up?
I thought you mentioned Moon Knight.
No.
Brought it up for my happiness.
Yes.
You were saying something.
Yeah, you were going somewhere with 2099.
Oh, I was not going anywhere with 2099. I was just saying that I like Oscar Isaacs.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Dr. Jace. You were saying this idea. You have the character of Spider-Man 2099.
Right. You have a character who, and I mean, there have been some other characters that have broken canon from different iterations of Spider-Man. Like I think 2099, he debuted. When did he debut? He was.
I think he debuts in the 90s.
In the 1992, created by Peter David and Rick Leonardi, a Hispanic Spider-Man, right? And again, I don't know what the initial reaction was to a non-white Spider-Man
or a non-Peter Parker.
A non-Peter Parker, right? Because again, like you have characters like Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, who's technically a non-Bruce Wayne. Oh, but he's still white though, so everyone's okay. Bruce
Wayne is still in the mix too. He's his mentor.
Bruce Wayne is still there, exactly. So it's one of those things where, you know, you have Miguel, who is another Spider-Man, who's, you know, you think of Spider-Man, you're like, you know, they're the good guys. They're the good guys. Or they like to see themselves as the good. Oh my God, another meta cut. It's people that see themselves as the good Samaritans trying to keep things in canon. They're not the bad guys in this story. They're the ones trying to keep canon consistent. Basically saying, Peter Parker, he's got to be white. He's got to be married to Mary Jane or with Gwen Stacy, whatever. But there's just so many layers to this. And I love how Miguel is just this brooding, This guy's scary in this movie. He is so terrible. He's like feral in a way. He's like running on all fours. He's got like Wolverine type of claws.
It's like vampiric, they said.
Right. There was a scene where like in the very beginning, like he like grabs someone's head and he's like about to like bite their head off. And
no, he's about to suck that blood.
Yeah, what was that? Was that like a metaphor or was that like literal?
I don't know much about Spider-Man 2099. I know the team who did this film did their homework though.
Right.
When it comes to these spider people. I'm sure whatever Miguel was about to do was something he can do. Right. But you know, Miguel O'Hara, I think he's the perfect foil for, say, Miles, you know.
Maybe.
I think they did that on purpose.
He's the most extreme of what it means to break canon, because you have a Spider-Man in the future, not played by a Peter Parker, not played by a white character, a white anyone. It's played by a Hispanic individual, Miguel. And it's like, but you have even that extreme of a character saying, no, we must stay in canon. And it all comes down to multiverse, right? You have this character who, he once tried to have a family of his own, right? In another universe.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out. Universe collapsed in on itself. And he's like, oh, well, if that happens, that means everyone else got to be careful then, because it's like a domino effect. It could affect all the universes. And so he forms like this spider society almost, right?
Oh, that's a good one. Spider Society. Yep.
He brings them all together, and it's Spider-Man and women and spider things, and it's just every spider entity,
spider critters, yes.
Spider critters, like every single conceivable spider
cars.
Oh my god,
it's crazy. And it's like, I believe this. I believe there are some iterations of spider people things out there that are like this, and some comic and some obscure 1962 comic that was that only had one issue. I believe it. I believe it's all there. And it's like, the film had the emotion, it had the substance, it had the comedy, but it also had like the geek moments. You know, like we always go to these Marvel,
plenty of gag moments.
We always go to these Marvel movies, and it's like sometimes our fandom gets the better of us, where we're like, oh man, I want the Hulk to smash him from the ceiling and say, Avengers assemble, and he snaps his hand with the Infinity Gauntlet. Sometimes that has no substance. Right here, I don't know, I had fun pointing out all the different spider people.
Oh yeah, we were sitting there. Oh, there goes spoiler alert, people.
Go ahead. We're gonna list all the spider people that we saw. Go ahead.
Well, who stood out to you? I want to know who stood out to y'all. Which ones caught your eye? Which one did you geek out at? Did you laugh at?
So limiting it to spider people, right?
Spider
people. Spectacular. I don't even watch Spectacular Spider-Man.
You haven't seen Spectacular Spider-Man?
I've seen bits and pieces.
Wow.
Dr. But
Rika,
I hear it's
Spectacular
fantastic.
Spider-Man? Wow. Okay.
I hear it's fantastic.
It's spectacular.
Oh wow. What a choice of words.
Yes. It's spectacular.
I thought he was gonna be just one of those characters in the background that, you know, you see him walk by. Yes, you see him walk by and that's it. No, you get him talking at the forefront. You get I think you mentioned it to me. You said that's his Gwen's that's his Captain Stacy. His right? In one of the flashback scenes.
So, you know, Spectacular Spider-Man is in the film, and for those who don't know, that is regarded as the best Spider-Man animated TV series out.
Even better than 90s?
90s series, even better than the 90s series. Both series never actually had a complete finale. So interestingly enough, Spectacular was shorter. That's a scene not in the show. They basically continued the show in this movie. Wow.
So in a way, they kind of Like,
they added on to the lore.
wow. So that scene that they show you with Captain Stacy, that is not in
That is
Spectacular
not in the
Spider-Man.
show. That is a
Wow.
TV Y7 show. There's no death
Interesting.
on screen. There's no
right,
death.
right. Wow.
Which, so Gags, it was a celebration. There's a lot to celebrate with the Spider Society. Dr. Rika?
That there was this blend of things like what you just brought up, like, characters or ideations of Spider people that folks will be familiar with because they're maybe from another product, including live action.
Ooh,
So
yes.
I did not anticipate that.
I did not either.
Okay.
And so
more layers. Oh, go
they
ahead.
did this
Sorry.
a few times in terms of, I'm pretty sure the shop owner from Venom.
Owner from Venom.
Yes,
Yep.
And then we did see Andrew Garfield and we did see Tobey Maguire.
We sure did.
And
no Tom.
No Tom, but we did get Donald Glover.
Yes.
Donald freaking Glover.
That sent our theater in an uproar. Everyone lost
that was
it.
the moment. There
was a kid. I told you about this.
Yes.
There was a kid behind us that said, "Is that Killmonger?"
Oh.
And it was so funny. It was so
that was
funny.
Not funny. That was
yes,
not funny.
it was. Come
That was
on,
not
that
funny.
is funny. If you heard it, you would have been. Don't you dare!
Well,
Do we understand how layered Donald Glover appearing in this movie is?
It raises so much because Donald Glover appeared in Homecoming, right? And he mentioned Miles in Homecoming.
Correct.
I don't think he hinted in that movie if he was like doing the Prowler stuff.
He was working with the villains.
He was working with the villains, right? But no hint at any Prowler escapades. But in here, he's in the full gear. He's been doing it, and it just raises questions where it's like, okay, so eventually are they going to address this? Is he going to maybe reference it in an MCU movie, or is this gearing up for what we heard Amy Pascal said this past week, where they're developing a live action Miles Morales movie? And it's like, I'm okay with it if we build to it, right? But that to me just sounds like a Sony thing that they're just gonna do on their own. Like, screw MCU continuity. We want to confuse people, damn it. We want Miles Morales running around at the same time as Peter Parker, and we'll just say it's a different multiverse. Easy.
I mean, they have the power. They do. But what a delight to see him given.
Yes.
Do you know about his other history with Spider-Man?
Donald Glover's?
When they wanted to first reboot Spider-Man before Garfield got casted, he campaigned for himself.
Oh, to be a Miles character?
No, to be Peter Parker.
Oh, I did not know that. No.
This inadvertently led to the creation of Miles.
In what way?
Oh, see, I'm telling you, man, there's layers to this.
Right?
Donald Glover campaigns to be Peter Parker.
So this is like 2008.
It's before. This is before. No, not 2008. This is around probably 2010. When they're looking for
Amazing Spider-Man's 2011.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Right?
No, that's 2012. It's 2012.
Okay, so 2010. Fine, 2010.
So Peter Parker can't be black. You can't wear the mask. You can't. You're black. This inadvertently inspired Brian Michael Bendis, who created Miles, to make Miles. And then even as so far as to they let Donald Glover voice Miles on Ultimate Spider-Man, the TV series.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
And of course, they casted him as Aaron Davis in Homecoming, the Prowler. And now he's here. And now potential for a live action Miles, which I don't even care for at this point. I care about this.
I want animation. Don't care about live action.
Right. But yeah, there's so much to celebrate with these I can't. I don't think there's any others that stand out far from the live action ones.
I mean, those
just
are the big.
And there
They were the
just some, like,
surprises. We weren't expecting them.
yeah, the rest were what I did expect was just like
Mm.
fun, different ideations. So you had like the Western Spider-Man on a horse, and
shooting
Right.
they
webs.
mentioned like the dinosaur, and just the fact that we just saw different types of spider people, and that all
Yeah.
of them had their own types of humor, which I thought was really fun.
They
And
felt unique.
was called out too in terms of like, aren't we supposed to be like funny or make jokes and keep it light? So I did like that.
Miguel, you're being a little serious.
And you see, that's a part of it. You know, Miguel as an incarnation is not Peter Parker, and yet he has all this animosity towards Miles because he sees himself in Miles. And creation wise, they are similar. They're people
Oh
of color.
my God! Wow.
Yeah, playing
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Because technically the other iterations that we see, okay, let's talk about this, the main cast of Spider people.
Okay.
I love it. First of all, I think before we get, we're gonna get to Gwen. Gwen's got her own
She
section.
better.
Good. We gotta talk about Gwen. Oh God, Indian Spider-Man, Mumbai Hatton.
Does he have like an act? Like, is he just called Spider-Man, or is
No,
he called,
he
like,
has it's an Indian name. He's hold up, Pavatir Prabharkar.
Okay,
So
Okay.
it's
He-
Peter Parker.
I see.
Yeah.
He got a glow up because I don't know if you remember his original, like, Spider-Man India. His design, he just had the shoes. I don't know what the shoes are called, but, like, the curled up
Sure.
toes.
Yeah.
He just had that and kind of like a sash, and the rest was just the regular Spider-Man outfit. They gave him a glow up for this movie. This is unique to the Spider-Man film. I love this look that he has.
Oh yeah. This again, I like how each character in each world has its unique animation style. This might have been one of my favorite sequences throughout the film. The Indian sequence in Mumbai Hatton. But yes, he's cool. Karen Sony, the taxi driver from Deadpool.
Oh, that's him.
Deadpool's- Yes, that's
Oh, wow,
him.
that's
Uh,
nice.
And his sequence is very significant to the plot. Learning about incursions, which also they are subtly tying this into Loki and MCU. The idea of multiverse, which I love because it's not so blatant in your face, but it's here.
I was gonna say that, and something I was reflecting on as like I was watching the film, it's like, oh, okay, this is connected to what they've shown us, they as in like Marvel before, but it's not like, remember, here are all the
Right.
nice things you saw in Loki, and here's what happened. Like, it felt like very natural and also true to this particular story. I think,
Right.
what has been frustrating, at least on my end, with the MCU is I'm not caught up on everything. I
Must consume, Dr. Rika.
I have a lot going on in terms of trying to find a job and be a professional and do all of this. So it's like I can't keep up with everything. So I liked that for those people who have been keeping up, they'd be like, oh, okay, yes, that's familiar. And for those of us who are behind, there was enough information provided so that you can at least keep up with this particular movie and stay like invested in the story. Like, it didn't feel like it was overwhelming. And it felt like overwhelming as far as like the senses and all the beautiful colors and the wonderful animation, but that's like a good overwhelming, not like okay, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. So I did like that blend that they had.
Yes, they handled it. Yeah, you don't even like it's there, but they don't hammer it in, It's either it, but it does not hinder your engagement into the plot.
This particular film, yeah.
Yeah. So the excellent job by the writing staff too, which Lord and Miller have been killing it. I gotta give it to them. I don't know. These are the guys they fired from the Han Solo movie, which is wild.
Oh, those are the creative differences.
Yes.
People.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how they got fired because all these guys do is pump out gold.
Right.
Issa Rae, Jessica Drew.
Jessica Drew. I've been waiting for some Jessica Drew. I believe she's shown up in some TV shows or like animated series.
I only can think of the terrible Avengers United They Stand show that Jessica Drew appears
you
in.
like that?
I do not like that. I don't.
But I really like Jessica Drew has a really cool history. Being the person that I am, of course, I tend to look up more about some of the women characters in Marvel.
Sure.
And I had like one of my little hyper focus moments and went and looked into her history. So it was cool to see her a part of this story.
Yeah. And like she's not even a throwaway character. She's Gwen's mentor. She kind of has a bit of an arc with Gwen, and by extension Miles. Just she's here. She has a presence, and it's I think every character here has a purpose.
Did you like her motorcycle?
I love her motorcycle. Motorcycle, very cool touch. Very cool touch.
Also, I appreciated that she was pregnant.
Okay, I was just about to say, some people do not like that she was pregnant. Some
I liked it. I mean,
I was fine with it. I got over it after the initial thing.
So you did have a problem with it.
I didn't have a problem.
I don't know what my future looks like, but I do know that there is an expectation that whatever my future looks like, should I decide to have children, the expectation is that I still have to work. So there's something about like, oh, this is a superhero and she's also having a family. And of course, she is still doing superhero stuff while pregnant and trying to start a family. Like it feels indicative of a bigger societal thing in terms of not getting enough paternally, but that's a whole nother thing. So I kind of liked that, like we got to just see her, and there's clearly a whole nother part of her life that is alluded to based off of that. And I don't know if this also kind of played into some of the mentorship or care that she had for Gwen as she's thinking about caring for her own child. I think we saw some of that with like Peter's story.
Peter B.
Yes, and Miles, as far as like, I was inspired by our connection and wanting to ensure that my daughter feels, the same type of love and care for her that I feel for you. And so I think, I know there's some mentorship, kind of familial elements that I was feeling and seeing across different types of relationships.
And I'm so glad you now mentioned Peter B. in the mentorship, because one, I love a sequel that builds correctly off of the original, which I think this one built. I mean, that one was a clear-cut ending. Miles is Spider-Man. Yay. Everybody's back in their own whatever.
Right.
But yet they are able to, like, so gracefully weave in where we kind of left these characters, because it's been a year since they've seen each other. Mm-hmm. And yet you have Peter B., in this conflicted spot. He's got the duty to the Spider Society and the all the dimensions in the universes, and yet he can have a moment with Miles and say, "You inspired me to go back and have a kid, and
if it weren't for you, she wouldn't exist." And the baby.
I think that's also part of the meta commentary, is that when people see Miles, they say, "That's not canon. That's an anomaly," But then you get to know him like Gwen does and like Peter B does. And you understand, who cares if he's an anomaly? You buying what I'm putting down? You're buying what I'm selling?
I buy
You're
it.
a lot tonight.
This movie has a lot to sell.
It does.
It does. I feel that's there. There are other Spider people, some for laughs. Andy Samberg as Ben Reilly. He was a hoot.
He was he Scarlet Spider?
He
Or
was Scarlet Spider.
Scarlet
Yeah,
Spider. Okay.
Scarlet Spider, which is funny because I think this is layers. He was very broody, like Spider-Man Noir in the first one,
Okay.
and Nicolas Cage did Spider-Man Noir, right?
Right.
Have you ever seen Andy Samberg do his Nicolas Cage impression?
No, I'm guessing it's accurate. Is it
Oh,
very
you should
accurate?
look it up. He does it right next to Nicolas Cage, and it's pretty funny.
I will look it up.
And I feel that's what he was doing in this performance.
Channeling his inner Nicolas Cage.
Yes, I 100%. I'm going to tweet that later at Andy Samberg, and I'm pretty sure that's
Did
it.
you do this?
And he's gonna probably deny it, but I think it's true.
Okay.
Let's talk about Gwen. Can we talk about Gwen since we're in the spider people?
We should.
be.
She's the first. She's the first 30 minutes. The prologue.
Let me preface. This is the longest animated film ever.
Which is crazy when you think about it, right? Like,
Yes, it is.
has there
crazy.
really never been an animated film this long? It's nothing egregious. It's not like this movie's competing with the Snyder Cut. It's 4 hours long. No, it's what, 2 hours and 30
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's
Which is
nothing.
a typical
That's a typical film. A live action.
Avengers
Oh,
Age of
it is.
Ultron, I think, is that long.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. I'm like, wow. So this is the first film to get to that. And I wonder what the prior threshold was. Like, was it just 2 hours and 19 minutes and it just beat it?
I want to say there's not a single animated film that crosses
2 hours.
And it feels like some of it, I imagine, is how long it takes to make some of these movies, and they have, a budget. Some of it is conversations that we've had in the past of like how animated films are recognized. And I think a lot of people think, oh, animated films, kids. With kids' films, you need them to be under 2 hours. And that's inaccurate in terms
Mhm.
of like animation could be anything for anyone. So it is surprising that it has taken this long to create an animated film that would be longer than 2 hours.
So if you're excluding anime-based films as are like just Japanese created films, I think this is the longest American-made. I think that's what they're calling it, which was previously held by Fantasia.
Fantasia 2000.
No, the original Fantasia,
Original
which clocked in at 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it trumps it by 16 minutes.
Okay.
Which
Well-
is, clearly they had a longer than a 2 hour story because they split the movie into two
Right.
parts.
Can you imagine this being one movie as it was originally intended? There's no way.
No.
I'm
And,
glad
you
that they
know-
let things simmer.
Interestingly enough, though, I felt like I was binge watching a series at times. I felt the movie had
Oh, yeah.
distinct chapters. Like, we weren't jumping around the plot. We weren't checking in with Miles, then checking in with Gwen.
Right.
Or,
And
what's the spot doing?
that's actually a really great point, because that's something I really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
I think, there are some films where it almost like they couldn't help it, like Infinity Wars or Endgame.
Mhm.
You just have to jump around. It is what it is. But I appreciated that this did feel like natural. Like, we start with Gwen, and I think that's kind of what started this conversation. Is,
Yes,
like,
yes.
let's talk about Gwen. And I loved that she just got her time and her story for that
Yes.
first opening 20, 30
Mm.
minutes, however long it was.
It felt long, and it never once was I like, "Where's Miles?"
Yeah. And I think that's something of you started this podcast by like, yeah, it's Miles' story. Yes. And
Okay,
also,
here we are. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, right,
No.
right. It is not just his story, right?
And I think that's it's a really wonderful service to some of the other characters, because she's not the only one that got more time. Like, and she had plenty of, of space in the first film, but we really got to sit and understand where she was coming from, what was going on for her in terms of like her relationship with her father and her Peter, and those particular pieces that add more layers to just who she is as a character. And then obviously what got her into, the Spider Society and all that. But I really just appreciated that they let it breathe, that they let it have time, that they let her be kind of realized as not just a love interest or someone, who we were introduced to in that first film and doesn't get any additional kind of character development. No, we got to see that. So I really appreciated that opening.
Oh,
I did.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Go
mean, she's
ahead.
definitely no. I was gonna say she's definitely one of those characters that, at least for me, when it came to like in the original Spider-Verse movie, when we saw all these different versions of Spider-Man, hers was the one that interested me the most because it's a character. I mean, I knew about Spider-Gwen before that movie, but it always interested me because it's a central character in other universes to Peter's story. She's the love interest or the first or the second one. But this is one where she is Spider-Man and Peter is still existed, but he is now like a
The
support.
lizard.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. Did we know that in the first movie?
Yes.
We did.
We did.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But like that interested me because it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's playing around with the already established characters and asking, well, what if this happened instead? What if the spider bit this? What if the spider bit J. Jonah Jameson and he's Spider-Man? Just I like that idea with established characters. So I'm glad that this film took its time for the first 20-ish minutes or so and kind of just told somewhat of an origin story for Gwen. And I got to see that where it's like, oh my God, Peter was the best friend and he was the nerd that was still getting bullied in school. And he became the lizard to retaliate against his bullies. And I just like seeing that different take on this. And I feel like it's real. I feel like it's a really good story to tell through Gwen's eyes. And that's not even the only thing about Gwen's story that was showcased in this first 20 minutes. But I love this sequence. I really, really enjoyed this sequence with Gwen.
No, it just was. It was very much needed. This sequence. Again,
Let's start things differently.
Sure. Did they? Did they?
They did.
But it I would like to call Gwen the deuteragonist of this film. I definitely think it's between Gwen and Miles. It's their story moving forward. Kind of the ending leaves one of them in a perilous situation and the other one about to make the heroic move. But you needed this because Gwen and Miles are very much mirrors. It's just this idea that if you're not Peter Parker,
you can't be Spider-Man.
Well, it's either you can't be Spider-Man or you have to prove why you were bitten.
Right.
And I think Gwen serves as a great mirror to Miles because although they are both not Peter Parker and they both become Spider people, she is more accepted than Miles, and that's who he can relate to. They have similar upbringings with their fathers being policemen, and every Spider person has very similar backstories, whatever. But she's at a crossroads, her character, whether to help Miles or this greater service to the world, the universes. And I think they just do such a great job with letting Gwen be that character who goes through that struggle. Like their struggles are completely different in this film, and it was so I keep saying engaging because that's the word. It's engaging to watch them because how close they were in the first one, and they had probably I would call chapter 2 where they're rekindling their friendship, maybe romance. And then you learn it's just kind of all for shit, more or less.
Right. No. Yeah.
It's a rock and a hard place.
Right.
and they're both in two different rocks and hard places. So it was very lovely to watch all this play out. I think
And
if you
something
weren't, you're rooting for both of them. Yeah.
and something I appreciate about this film too is so the two most important women in Miles's lives got more time.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh
Parents.
So
my
not
God.
only obviously the opening with Gwen, but like his mom, so Rio was a lot more present and had more of those one-on-one scenes. And I think the first film was very much focused on his relationship with his uncle, his relationship with his father.
Ooh.
And it was nice to get some of the additional dynamics with his mother.
Okay. Can I cut you off real quick?
Mhm.
I think the first film very much served the black part of his heritage, the African American side. And this film chose to lean more into the Puerto Rican side. I would say.
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah.
Especially with his uncle and
With
his
his
dad in the
uncle,
forefront.
yeah. His uncle, yeah.
Right. Adding on to your point, continue if you add more, please.
No, that was a lot of it was just appreciating that we did get more time with those characters, that particularly kind of the moment where she's basically like encouraging him and like hyping him up and letting him know that like no matter who you become, no matter who you are, like I still love you. And just the message of like having a truly supportive parent that like, and I think throughout too there were sprinkles of like parenting is hard, and at the end of the day like people are going to make mistakes, and I think folks are trying their best, and there are people that just want to love their kids, and how that manifests can be a work in progress. And so it was just nice to see what each of those different types of relationships look like, whether between Gwen and her father, Miles and his mother, Miles and his father, Peter B. Parker and raising his own. I think there's like this thread of like, if you're a parent watching this film, like there's something in there for you. It's not just about like the perspective of Miles or Gwen as the children. There are pieces there too of like what it's like to be a parent,
Absolutely. Dr. Rika, that scene, the one-on-one with Rio and Miles, before he goes off, were you moved by that scene?
I now have an eyelash in my eye. Yes, I was moved. I was tearful. I think there was a particular line that I was like, oh, like me and my mom say that to each other. Of
Is
like
it bendición?
Yeah.
Ah!
Hold on, let me tell you.
Go ahead. I know why you're bringing this up. Go ahead.
I looked over to my right, and Dr. Jace is bawling his eyes out.
Oh,
He is sniffling. He is
It was so
sniffling.
good. It was just so.
really good.
I was already swelling when, just already in the speech that she was giving Miles. But when Miles said bendición, that was when the key turned. I'm like, nope, it's coming. It's there. It's there. It can't stop.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. If a film gets me emotional like this, it's gonna be up there as like it's getting the M pass. It gets a masterpiece pass from me. It got me on edge.
But no, it was really sweet in terms of being able to see a lot of that. I was like, oh, can you see that in my family? And but it was, yeah. I think so much of the different types of relationship dynamics that we just got to see were a step up from what we were introduced to in the first film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, improved on the design every way. Yeah, it's incredible. I tip my hat to everybody who was a part of this film. All right. Again, we haven't been too spoilerish throughout, but I think we can now talk about kind of the finale, or like the last whatever act.
The spider
4.
chase.
Sure. Well, no, I would even call that the finale. I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, in general, it's like one continuous sequence, I guess.
Sure.
Once
This
the chase
is
happens, there's no break.
this is spoiler territory. This is major spoiler territory.
As if we didn't spoil the Tobey Maguire.
Oh,
Also, why would you be listening to this podcast if you haven't seen
Yeah,
it?
go watch the movie.
Well,
You should be.
we-
This is a review, damn it.
we preface people. I said spoiler. You know, that's key for people to move
Fine.
forward.
Fine.
But you know, we're just being we're
You're being considerate.
yes,
That's-
yes. Because this final act, I think, edge of my seat the whole time. The spider chase was amazing. The action in this movie is amazing.
It is.
Fantastic. The
Mhm.
swaps between animation styles, whether they're going into a different dimension or even just watching Spider-Punk by himself, it was a treat.
Actually,
in
we
its
haven't
own
even
right.
have we talked. Oh, I guess we talked a little bit about Spider-Punk.
A little bit, very briefly.
Touched on. I like each of them had, and I mentioned this already, just the different types of humor, and it was nice to see the different flavors of the introduction, similar to what we got in the first film. That like major players of the Spider People got their own like I'm fill in the blank name, and
Right.
I spit by, you know.
Oh, I always love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
That it's clever so many times. I will say there was one joke for Spider-Man India that I like honked out a laughter, and my entire theater was very quiet, so maybe they didn't find it as funny. But the like museum of like, and this is where the British stole our artifacts.
Oh,
Oh.
that was funny. No,
Oh.
that was funny.
Yes.
People laughed in our theater.
Oh no, we were laughing. I
I was
definitely.
laughing.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing too with the Spider, you know, Spider-Punk, Spider-Man Punk, whatever.
Mm.
It's,
Spider-Punk. Yeah.
and you know, just having similar kind of in jokes and whatnot that was very to their personality. I thought that he was pretty funny.
Oh,
And-
the Cockney explanation.
Mhm. Oh, those were so good. And they would do that not only for that, but a few times. Like I couldn't
Mhm.
catch all of them.
They did, yeah.
But a few times throughout, it was cool to see like a little, you know, the little box at the bottom to explain something.
Because why not? It's animation. Why not?
Do it. Why not?
Right.
Give me an explanation for Scooby-Doo. I'll take it. I love
That's
it.
that's hilarious because that is true Cockney.
Mhm.
Because I was gonna miss it, then I remembered. Oh, that's how they do slang.
Mhm.
So, and right off rip too with the Renaissance Vulture versus Gwen.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yes. That whole sequence. Right when we saw Renaissance Vulture, I knew like this is just the prologue. We're gonna get so much more of this.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's just for a one-off villain. That wasn't coming back.
that was
again.
what they say, villain of the week. That
Villain
was a
of the
villain
week. Villain of the week.
Just a regular Rhino.
Just a regular. Oh my God, that was so funny when they went by all the villains. Just a regular Rhino.
No, it's good stuff. There's a plenty to thrill at in this film. So the spider chase, spider bite, that's a new one too. Amandla Stahlberg, she's the techno one, the
Oh.
Avatar one.
Oh, okay.
She's here. She's a spider person.
Okay.
You know, so Miles got to go back to his reality. Spoiler alert. Here we are. He's got to go back and save his dad.
Right. Just a side tangent. I love how it's not just some generic like contraption where it's like a portal opens up and he just has to walk through the portal. It's a spider, damn it. It's like a interdimensional spider that like interweaves like this whatever the hell it is, like a cocoon. It's like a cocoon and it just sends you to a different dimension. That was so creative. I love that. I got
like Ghost in the Shell vibes from that thing. I think
that felt Ghost in the Shell.
There's some Eastern influences throughout this film. I think
there was one moment where I thought it was a stretch. You're like, that's the Akira slide.
Oh yeah, that was the Akira slide.
That was not the Akira slide.
That was the Akira slide.
That motorcycle slide.
Do you know the Akira slide, Dr. Rika?
I don't. But I was gonna say, you may want to add additional context of yes, he has to go back to save his dad, but To
Fine.
add context to that, the reason why.
Full on spoilers. Full on. If
Yes,
you
yes.
didn't get spoiled already,
This is it.
All
This is it
All
right,
right.
here. No turning back.
Miles Morales is not supposed to be Spider-Man, period. He was never supposed to be bit. That was from Universe 42. He is an incursion waiting to happen. All right. He, though, has made himself a part of the Spider People. He's here. People got to deal with it. Meta layers. Therefore, he's going to have similar Peter Parker Spider-Man incidents. Canon events. He already had one. His uncle died in the first one.
Right.
That was his, Uncle Ben equivalent. Often slept on Spider-Man canon event is the loss of George Stacy, Police Captain George Stacy, father of Gwen. Last most seen prominent on film with Dennis Leary in The Amazing Spider-Man 2012 with Andrew Garfield. Great tie-in because
We did see him.
one of the stronger moments of the 2012 film.
Mhm.
One of none.
Wow.
It's low on the list of Spider-Man film. Miles' dad is up for promotion. He's about to become police captain. Therefore, meanwhile, the Spot is Spider-Man's nemesis. It is another canon thing for Spider-Man to create a lot of his enemies.
Which I like the gag of I feel like this is a gag just in general when it comes to superheroes or even just films in general, where you have a sequel to a movie and you're wondering who the next villain's gonna be. And they try to tie in the villain to something where it's someone from your past. You did something wrong. You weren't careful enough. You didn't save everyone that day on the bridge. Stuff like that, right? Like the typical villain spiel. And when Miles encounters the Spot originally, he's building this story up as if it's like someone from his past. You don't remember me, Miles? You ruined my life. And it's like, oh, what is this getting into? Like, do we actually know him? This man was the bagel that he flung at in the first movie.
He's a literal extra. He was an extra.
He's an extra. What origin? But I feel like they're making a joke at that where people are always trying to tie in like, oh, it's always someone that had a tragic backstory involved with the hero saving the day with something else.
That is a dig at Tony Stark and all that stuff that the MCU tries to set up,
Oh, like everything's tied to Stark.
like Mysterio.
Oh, Stark Tech, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Not everything has to be tied to,
correct, right.
to,
so
the
minuscule.
arc.
So minuscule. So yes.
But they take it in a literal sense because he's slowly becoming the main villain now. He
doesn't want to be a villain of the week.
Right. Right. And at the end of the day, you're still not taking him seriously because like he just has these weird little gags. His little dimension thing is really cool. I like his. I like the way he fights.
Again, beautiful animation. The Spot sequences were a lot of fun. 20 million things are happening at one time because this guy can open up dimensions anywhere just by leaning on a loaf of bread, and now the bread's falling out of his stomach.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah, very creative. They're having fun with this animation.
Why do people call it an ATM machine?
Someone said that the other day, and I was like, oh, they must have seen a clip or something. Because I said that today. So either way, Spot's hell-bent on revenge. He wants to break the multiverse to ruin Miles's life.
Right.
That is his end goal in life. Meanwhile, every other universe is going to probably fall at the behest of all this as well. So Miles got to race back to his own universe. He gets scanned by the spider-like Ghost in the Shell robot. But he was bit by a spider from a different universe. Sure. Pause right there. We'll leave it right there. He runs back home. He gets to his universe, runs back home. Has another great one-on-one with his mom, Rio. And another thing he's been grappling with the whole film, just, wanting to tell the truth to his parents that he's Spider-Man. Less stress on them, less stress on him. Darce made a good comment. Darce said this premiered during Pride Month, and it very much felt like a coming out scene.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I can see that. I can see that. Sure. Because it's still beautiful nonetheless. Promise me you won't change anything. You won't treat me any different. You won't love me any different.
Right.
I'm Spider-Man. Has no idea what he's talking about. Does the thwip, shows the soup, nothing. I think my jaw dropped. I think during that whole time, I'm trying to think, was there a point did you realize he was not in his universe?
I think because originally, for some reason, I thought it was a gag that the mom didn't know Spider-Man at first, like our original universe that Miles is from.
Right.
I thought the mom genuinely did not know who Spider-Man was because maybe she doesn't pay attention to the news or something. She doesn't care about any of that. Oh, you're Spider-Man? Okay, sure. Yeah, whatever. That's what I initially thought for like maybe 5 seconds. And then I thought, wait a minute, no. She knows about she's talked about it with the dad. The dad's always talking about Spider-Man. So then once she was being genuine, like, I don't know who that is. Who is that? I want to say it took a total of 15 seconds for me to realize, oh my God. And then I think that's when I leaned over to you. I said, it scanned the spider DNA. It sent him to a different universe.
Oh, yeah.
And oh man, that right there. Yeah. Mind was in a flux. Because I'm like, he's not where he's supposed to be. He can't stop his dad from dying. And Miguel went to the right place. That bastard. He went to the right one.
They all did, Gwen.
They all did, yeah.
Right.
And oh yeah, no, for sure. And at that point it was like, so what do we do now? Is he stuck here?
And I was like, in the movie right there.
No, more.
And they gave more. Who walks through the door? Not his dad. Here comes Uncle Aaron.
Oh, Iroh. Oh.
Wrong franchise. Uncle Aaron, alive and well. And you're like, oh, flippin' dippity fuck. Oh, boy. Mahershala reprising his role.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah, love it. And what does he? He takes him. They're about to go do a crime.
They're about to go commit a felony.
They're about to, and he's like, "Do you know what's? Run me the plan again, Miles." He asked Miles for the plan, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, Miles is a criminal here, or he's running with his uncle, doing whatever kind of heist, And you're like, oh, damn, man, in the film right now.
No, more.
And they give you more. Miles is knocked out from behind from a hooded figure. You don't know who. And then he's tied up on a punching bag and he's trying to plead to his uncle saying, I'm not from here. I'm from a different universe. You died in my universe. There's good in you. There's always been good in you. Aaron Davis is not the mastermind here. He is a lackey. He is a lackey to a grander villain lurking in the shadows, lurking in the rafters. And who's up in the rafters? It's the Prowler. The Prowler's back. A very third-rate Spider-Man villain. They have taken him and boosted him up.
Oh, he's up there. Yeah.
He's up there now. Now. But who is the Prowler? Aaron Davis is right there. steps onto the scene with some black. Ollie says they were Air Forces. I think they were just black Jays.
I believe Ollie. Air Force.
Let's go with the Air Force.
It's funnier if it's Air Force.
He was given black Air Force energy and steps onto the scene and he unmasks himself. And it is none other than Miles Morales. Face to face with Miles Morales. Captured by Miles Morales. And I said, end the film right there.
And I leaned over. And what did I tell you?
More.
More.
And we get a lovely final scene where Gwen basically tells Miles' actual parents, I'm going to get him back. And Gwen also had this cool running theme about being in a band. And, you know, oh, actually, God, oh, man, that prologue is so good.
It is.
So good. She recruits her own band of people, her own band of spider people. The ones she knows are the good guys. And who is it? It's none other than herself, Spider-Man India, Spider-Punk, and then the return of the Dream Team. Penny Parker and her spider robot. I'm sorry, Penny. I don't think it's Parker.
It's
right?
Penny Parker.
Okay,
yeah.
Penny Parker and the return of her spider bot. Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham.
And everybody's favorite daddy, Peter B.
Peter B.
And they're off to save Miles. But let me close it like this. I know it didn't happen like this in the film, but I forgot this part. This is very important. Miles, face to face with Miles, asks one question. He says, your dad's alive in your universe? Boom, cut to black. Ten out of 10.
What film did that?
Dune.
Dune?
Technically.
You got Dune vibes?
Well, in terms of like the ending of like, you know, they're setting up for the second film being, you know, the
Sure,
big
yeah.
moment. So
Right.
it reminded me of that. Like once it, and I felt that it was coming because I knew this was a part one of two films.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wonder how they're gonna end it. And I was like, oh, that's how they're gonna end it. Okay. So.
And what a way to end it.
What an ending.
That was perfect.
It was.
There was no one in the theater that let out a sigh of like, oh man, come on. Like, I mean, I imagine. Oh, and yours?
I was like, what?
No, it was so good. I mean, obviously, it was good. I want more, but it was so good. I felt like that's the perfect way to end a movie like this, where you know it's a part one to a two-part, film series, and it's like, this is it. This is where you end it, because now, I mean, there's so many awesome ways that they like lead into that, because I think even with Miles, it didn't really end with cutting the black where he gives that response, no? Because like he's like scratching away through his gloves to like shock the chains.
Yes, he's planning his escape. Yes.
Right. And that goes into like kind of the speech he gave his mother earlier. He's like, I'm no longer afraid. Like in any other scenario, Miles would be petrified. His uncle is tied him up. There's this parallel universal version of himself that is going to do whatever to him, but he's not afraid. He realizes that they are a threat, and he's like, all right, I got to get out of this. And I am. Cut to black. Oh God, it was good. It was so good. I loved it.
I just, oh man, there are very few perfect endings that, you know, set up another film. That was a perfect. That was perfect. Because this opens so many doors. Because now, again, we're in this like kind of meta commentary, but kind of grander picture within the film. Miles was not supposed to be Spider-Man ever.
Right.
He was always supposed to be the Prowler. Because what it comes down to, if Michael, what?
Is it that he's always meant to be the Prowler, or he becomes the Prowler in a universe where a Spider-Man doesn't exist?
I think he was okay. I say this. So this is what they set up. They also say, Miles, you were never supposed to be Spider-Man. Because you became Spider-Man, Peter Parker in your universe dies. That wasn't supposed to happen. Right?
Right.
Miles never gets bit. He continues to hang with Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron eventually, I think, brings Miles into the fold because he was already at odds with his dad. And his dad was always said he's afraid of Miles running in with the wrong crowd. Just didn't know how close to home the wrong crowd was. I truly think this film plays with the idea that what if Miles was always supposed to be the Prowler and then it just morphs because he becomes Spider-Man? And that's why he's such a giant anomaly. And you took it even step further, saying what? What'd you say?
What did I say?
Yo, you don't remember?
I don't. There was a lot.
Oh, maybe Ollie said it.
What?
Miles was always supposed to be a criminal. The profile.
Right. Yeah.
Black
Right.
Puerto Rican can't be a superhero. Got to be a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a step too far.
I feel like there's like probably like a meta thing in there. Like
I think there's a little meta thing in there.
It's like trying to say like what's expected outside of the norm of like, why can't he be the superhero? Why can't he be the main character of this? It's Spider-Man. Stan Lee, the man himself, said anyone behind the mask can be Spider-Man. And it's one of those things, like, it actually came up on my feed, like, literally this last week. It's something to where when they were originally designing Spider-Man, you know, like, way back in, like, I think the 60s or something,
Mm-hmm.
when they originally designed him, they were trying to figure out, like, what kind of mask that they want to give him. And one of the ideas being pitched around was that they were almost going to give him, like a Batman mask, where, like, the top portion of his face is covered, but you can see like his bottom half, right? And Stan Lee went on saying like eventually we ultimately decided to go with the full mask, not knowing that that was the best idea that we could have went with, because had we done the whole half mask thing, it would have led to an expectation where obviously Peter Parker was going to be white in the 60s. Therefore, every iteration of Spider-Man has to be white because you've always seen him white under the half mask. But with the mask being on, that's where Stan Lee is coming out and saying, because it covers his whole face, what's stopping anyone from being the next Spider-Man? A damn cat can be Spider-Man if it wants to. A car can be Spider-Man if it
Peter
wants to.
Park's car. God.
That's so funny. And you
That
just
is hilarious.
have this character of Miguel, where I even noticed this, and I feel like you're gonna love this when you go back and watch this movie, because we're watching this movie again.
Yes.
For sure.
First rewatch of the year. Yeah.
Miguel's animation, he is the only Spider-Man where when you look at him, I don't know what the proper terminology is. So I know, like, if we have some animation connoisseur listeners out there that listen to the pod, don't come at my throat. But the way Miguel is animated, you can see his frames, his animation frames, like on his shoulders, on his face. You know, like when you're drawing a character and you initially draw like the circle, just the plain circle, and then you draw like the cross across the face to kind of align where you want the facial features to appear. You do it in 3D animation, you do it in 2D artwork. Most artists typically draw like that, to my knowledge. But with Miguel, you see that in him. And I feel like that's a deep cut because that's a frame for animation. And I feel like it's really saying that Miguel is being rigid. He is trying to not break the algorithm. That is like, obviously he's being animated in that style, but it's like he's trying to keep to canon. He's not trying to break away from the norm. He's not trying to like spice up things and make things different. He wants things to stay the same. So you get even little things like that from just something as simple as animation. Never did I think there could be a deep cut where I could be like, what's the animation trying to tell me right here? What does it really mean? That's crazy. I don't think any film's ever done that for animation, for me wondering like what's the meaning behind this?
Well,
what is it trying to say?
There were so many moments of just pure animation, I think, contributing to the story. Gwen's world.
The watercolors. The
emotions, yeah.
Every time, the back and forth she had with her dad.
That was so nice.
That was so beautiful. And then when she finally embraces her dad, the watercolors around her turn to her colors, the hues of white and purple and blue. That was beautiful. I love that. Oh my God. This film was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah. I can't find anything wrong to say about this film. And with that ending, I am just again, I try to level my expectations, but I am hyped for the next one.
It almost kind of does a disservice to the next one in a way, because I'm thinking like I came into this just wanting it to be at the very least as good as the first one. That was it. That's all I had to do.
Yeah, can they top it?
Can they top
again?
it? I feel like they weren't going to. I'm like, how? No, you can't. It was so good. But then this one, it did. It did, and then some. So now I'm thinking Beyond the Spider-Verse. My expectations
Beyond the Spider-Verse.
My expectations are higher now. And I'm wondering, like, is that fair to it when it's part 2 to a part 1? Is that fair to put it up to that standard? I don't know.
Should we look at it as a part 1 and a part 2? Should we treat it like Infinity War and Endgame?
Well, I think that's the intention.
Oh.
Well, like, no.
It is, yeah.
Because genuinely, like, before we knew that the two films had different names, it was just like, the sequel part 1, part 2.
Right, just like Infinity War, yeah.
It was always meant to be kind of a two things put
together. Do you think a mid-production, they were like, all right, this is where we're going to call it for part 2, and now we have to up everything for part 3?
Yeah, I imagine so.
I hope so. If this is to be a finale, which I'm sure it won't.
What, the next film?
Well, it's at least a finale for this story, I think. Like, you can call this a trilogy, then you can have another trilogy of Miles films.
They and Amy Pascal did her thing this past week, animated Spider-Gwen film, but it's not known, or I guess Spider-Woman, right? Was it Spider-Woman or Spider-Gwen?
I don't recall what she said. Amy Pascal says a lot.
I guess more in the lines of like, we don't know if that's like a Spider-Woman / Gwen in reference to this Spider-Gwen, or just its own little thing unrelated to anything in the Spider-Verse movie.
I would hope it's this Spider-Woman. I hope it's Spider-Gwen. Or just maybe a Spider-Gwen led film. Bring back Issa. And some other Spider-Woman, that'd be cool. But Amy Pascal says a lot.
He does.
So I'll let these things unfold on their own. So where are we at with this film?
Like ratings?
We're wrapping up. I'm
Okay.
trying. I feel I'm good. I think this film has that layer of meta commentary with the creation of Miles, and his purpose and meaning within our world and his world in the film, and that adds next level commentary to why this film is so great. The animation is godlike, and I say that because it will not be surpassed unless they do it themselves.
But at the same time, I want the industry to try
Oh yeah,
and surpass it.
oh
'Cause
yeah,
that's what I
try.
loved. What Into the Spider-Verse did. It was a renaissance, and I want this to be the second wave.
Yes,
Please.
absolutely. And then just what a fantastic film. The writing team, the directors, the cast. Like to shout out a couple more names real quick. Because we neglected to say their names. Brian Tyree Henry as Miles's dad. Always a pleasure. We didn't talk about him much. That's okay. I think we're gonna get a lot of him in part 3, for sure. Then Luna Lauren Velez as Rio, also great. Jake Johnson as PB. I think that's about it. Even Shea Wiggum as George Stacy, Gwen's dad. Felt that. And I think we're good. That's good. Yeah, I've yet to have an experience like this in a long time.
Let me ask you this, because I think I asked you this right after the movie, and I think it needs to be answered by you. Is this the best Spider-Man film?
Oh.
Has your nostalgic king that refuses to step down from his rusted throne has he finally bent the knee? Has he finally said, all right, my time is up. It's yours.
Yes.
To Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire, right?
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 has fallen to second place. This is the best Spider-Man film, hands down.
Big news.
This is huge.
Correct.
This is huge. I would have died on that hill if it weren't for this movie.
It was already topped by the first one, but for sure.
Would you say this is a break in the canon?
Oh.
Yes, a significant crack, a San Andreas fault of a break in the canon.
You finally broke your canon.
Yes.
Wow.
And it only took damn near 20 years. It took 19 years for them to get it right. 19. And I tell you what, that is partially due to Gwen being better than Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane. Sorry to say it.
Wow.
Yep.
Damn.
And then just, I don't want to say, the Spot is the central villain, but there's also antagonistic moves made by Miguel and others. So their combined efforts rivaled Doc Ock and his motivations.
What is your number 3?
Number 3, I think Into the Spider-Verse is better than No Way Home.
It is. I would say.
And I said this too coming out the movie. This film is very much a celebration of Spider-Man. However, I feel the story that runs through that celebration is stronger than what was in No Way Home.
Fair enough. I would agree that I think this is the best Spider-Man film. Animation, live action. Spider-Man 2, at least for me, it was dethroned after Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse was the first film I've ever seen where I went out of my way to buy the album, the entire album, all the music for that film. I'm like, I gotta have it. Don't care. I gotta have it.
Barely even talked about the album for this one. Great music throughout.
Great music throughout. Can't wait for it to release tomorrow.
No What's Up Danger moment, though, you said.
No
right?
What's Up Danger moment. Right.
Leap of faith. It's a leap of faith.
It's a leap of faith. I remember Ew.
I don't know.
I didn't have a what's up danger moment. No, my what's up danger moment needed to make me like have like a spidey sense where like the hairs on my arm like go up or something. I got that in what's up danger. I didn't get that here, but that's okay.
I like how
'cause
Sunflower plays during Dr. Rika's background.
Sunflower does play. Yes,
It's incorporated. I think there was a Spanish version of Sunflower playing when he went to go get the cakes.
I think I heard it in the background. It was like an instrumental version.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Also with that moment in Dr. Rika's background with Miles and Gwen, I love the little things that they played with when it came to what's the perspective of like these spider people with like okay, you could obviously have them sitting on the edge of a skyscraper like, oh, look at this beautiful city. No, they did something a little extra. We get to see them from like their point of view, upside down, hanging from like the bottom of like I don't know,
Gargoyle, whatever.
A gargoyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that
Structure.
is so cool. And you see the whole cityscape upside down.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, because why
absolutely love
not?
that.
Because why not? It's animation.
Why not? They're spider people. They do this all the time.
They wall crawl all the time. You mean they can't wall sit?
They can't wall sit. I think even in the the Spider-Man PS4 game, they tried drinking coffee upside down. I don't know why you would, but
He
sure,
tried
why
it.
not?
He
Why
tried
not?
it.
Let them do it.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, no, this is this film broke my scale. It was at a 10 out of 10 for me. But this thing, it's 15 out of 10. I'm giving it the scale break.
Sure.
I don't think I've ever given a film a scale break before. 15 out of 10. It is the best Spider-Man film, period. That's including animation and live action. And to me, the only one that did that before was Into the Spider-Verse. It's going to be a tough call to see if Beyond the Spider-Verse will be a 20 out of 10. I feel like it has to be now if I want to say.
The bar is really high.
The bar is so high. And I guess we'll see. It's this film was perfect. I'm sure I could nitpick here and there certain things and like, oh, what are all these Spider-Men just ignoring the crimes in their worlds now that they're in this spider society?
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's a
Don't
big
you gotta
question.
get back to your how does time move?
Exactly. Like Spectacular Spider-Man, I would think that he wouldn't just abandon like all the people in his Disney Channel universe.
Well, Miles was gone for a bit, and by the movie standards, I guess he was only gone for part of the day.
Right. Yeah. So how is time moving for these other people? And
Need some answers.
We need some answers, or maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. Maybe just gotta accept it. Just accept it. Will Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2 for Insomniac Spider-Man 2, will he mention being part of a spider society at any point?
I promise you he will.
I don't know. I feel like it's too much. I feel like it's too much.
Oh, that one's interesting because Miles is in that world and he's pretty canon in that world.
Oh, right.
So
maybe it's just take it at face value. It's
just
a little Easter egg. It's a little Easter egg.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. There. Yeah.
I could, like I was saying, I could nitpick. I could complain about little things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I got emotional. I laughed the entire movie. There's layers to the movie. There is meta commentary that is really, really impactful, both for the story itself and then also just the character and the conception of Miles being a Black Puerto Rican Spider-Man. I just loved it. Yeah, 15 out of 10. I'm done gushing about it.
Sure.
That's where I am with it. That's where I am.
I think there she goes.
Sorry, it's late.
You're okay.
That's okay.
I had to lay down for a moment.
You're okay.
I was reflecting on this on the drive back home of like, not that I'm complaining about talking about the movie right after I see it, but I do have a hard time like adequately rating it. Like 2 hours after I leave the theater.
It's a high. It's a high
Yeah.
that we're riding.
Because sometimes I want to be able to sit with a movie, whether I really liked it or whether I felt like okay about it or whether I didn't like it, because my feelings may shift over time. Um, I do. So I don't know kind of where it ranks because I really, really adore the first one. And I meant to rewatch it. I just didn't get the chance to this week. So maybe I'll get around to rewatching it in the next week or so and just see how I feel in comparison in terms of like where I'll rank it. Because I will say the first one was my favorite Spider-Man movie. So more than Spider-Man 2, more than No Way.
Damn right. Damn right.
It's okay.
So yeah, I wanna sit with this more. It's absolutely going on my like favorites of the year list. Like right now there's only 4 movies on it. I think this year has been kind of rough for me in terms of like films and things that I feel connected to. So I'm just so relieved that this was just a really excellent film. So shout out to movies. I love movies. I love leaving feeling really happy about what I just watched, and like I had no thoughts of wanting to be anywhere else in that 2 hours. I think that is the power of really good cinema. So
Power to it. Yeah, no, well said. Both of y'all. Goodness, we can only talk about this movie so much. It is truly an experience y'all have to go experience for yourselves. And I hope if you've listened this far that you have already, but if you're one of those, I need to be convinced. Let's see what the Yonko table has to say. I hope you're convinced now. It's probably my number 1 film of the year so far.
It beat Quantumania?
Shut the hell up. That was not number 1. Number 1 was Mario movie, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my goodness.
Which I'm glad animation is out here selling. Because I want more. I'm buying more. Take my money. Just take it. Animation is cinema. But this right here, this is in a class of its own.
art.
It's art.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a work of art. This is bullshit. You ever seen that guy?
Which guy?
The guy who like rates stuff and he'll be like, this is a work of art. This is bullshit.
Yes.
This is a work of art. This is a work of art. It is beautiful to look at. It is engaging in story and everything. We have said it. We have run it to the ground. Go watch Across the Spider-Verse. Fantastic. And we stand with our Black Puerto Rican king.
Period.
We love that. We love it.
Anyone can be Spider-Man under the mask.
You could wear the mask. We love it. But with that said, folks, that's enough. Thank you for listening on all your podcast stations, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Of course, thank you for the support on all social media fronts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch with Dr. Chase Attorney. And of course, if you have anything to discuss with us, if you'd like to join the discourse you hear on our show, this wasn't much of a discourse. We have nothing but universal praise for this movie. Please join the link below and join us in the Discord, and we will gladly gush over movies like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with you. So please join us there. But yeah, with that said, that's it from us here at the Yonko table. I'm your host, Grandmaster Hoop, fellow Yonko, Dr. Jace Attorney, and high-ranking supernova, Dr. Rika. Let's end this. How shall we do like a quote? What a thwip? I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and say oh god. You could wear the mask.
I love all these holes.
He did not say that.
He said something about holes. He loved holes.
I want to go to bed.
Needless to say, I'm keeping her check. She was on bad there coming to rest.
Sunflower.
Sunflower.
Flower.